Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting edition of Pages, Pictures, and Panels. I am your host till the end with my co-host Roach Boy Red.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, man, we have some pretty exciting things going on as far as this episode. We're going to be doing a lot of great speculation. Red, why don't you fill them in?
Well, we know we're getting the X-Men soon in the MCU, and for this episode, I think it'd be cool for us to do a little speculation on that. Do we actually officially have the title Uncanny X-Men for the movie?
I
Or,
believe.
because if they don't use that, that's a missed opportunity. I always thought it was weird that they didn't use it. But,
Yeah.
as for that, I guess we can talk team lineups, we can talk villains, we can talk plot lines. And during those, I figure we'll dive into some of the actors from the Foxverse that we'd want to see back or replaced. And
Absolutely.
other than that, if we got time today, we're going to cover a lot of stuff on Daredevil and the Punisher potentially coming back to the MCU for expanded roles. We know we already saw Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock in No Way Home, but there's a lot of talks of him in She-Hulk and him in Echo. And we've been seeing around the rumor mill that he might even have his own series coming soon, hopefully to Disney Plus.
Oh yeah.
And I guess aside from that, let's just dive in.
Absolutely.
So we've had a lot of different team lineups in the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
I feel we've never had a proper lineup. I feel the best one we've had is definitely the original. They tried to stick as close to the 90s cartoon or Chris Claremont era X-Men team. And that's the team that most of us know and love from our childhood.
Yeah.
But we might be seeing some new X-Men in. We're definitely going to be seeing some old. So, what do you think for a lineup would be nice?
Previously talked about Gambit. For me, honestly, it's not even really about the X-Men lineup. It's the Brotherhood lineup. That's what I want. I want the proper Brotherhood. And I want some X-Men that pop up from XMen Evolution. I'd like to see Spike. But that iteration of Spike, like Storm's nephew Spike.
Yeah.
I'd like to see. I would just like a lot of those elements of that show. That's my favorite X-Men show of all time, X-Men Evolution, and I'd like to see a lot of that stuff. A bit more of a focus on the younger class, but at the same time, keeping the older class like Wolvie, Gambit, the main X-Men, a staple. You know what I mean? And that's just my thoughts on it. I think that the lineup for their evil counterparts is just as, if not more important, because these new actors, Marvel nowadays tends to cast a lot of people we don't necessarily know well. These new actors need somebody to bounce off of, man. You can have a great baby face, but if the heel's bullshit, it's not going to be a good feud. So that's just my opinion on it. What do you think?
I actually feel very close to the same way. Even in my notes, all the stuff I wrote about it. For starters, I've been watching X-Men Evolution again on Disney Plus, and it's a great time. I'm only on the third or fourth episode, but the introduction of all the characters, each younger member of the team gets an introduction episode at the start of the first season. And with each of those hero introductions, they give us a villain's introduction. We got Cyclops and Toad in the first episode. We get Jean Grey and Blob in the one episode. Rogue and Mystique in the other.
Nice.
Oh, they even do Wolverine and Sabretooth. But, and I think those setups they made the show better because it fleshed out the team. In the 90s cartoon, as great as it was, they just jump right into the action. Everyone's a seasoned X-Men and Morph's already dying and shit. It got intense fast, and they almost expect you to read the comics to know who these characters are. But,
right. And around that time in the 90s, comics were a bit more of a viable platform because of the MCU not existing and cartoons just now starting to take that turn that we were going to love between Spider-Man 94, X-Men 97, and so on and so on. I mean, it kind of makes sense that they expected it because that was what they did back then, more so than just guys like us. But
yeah, definitely. And as for the Brotherhood, That's funny because in my notes on my villain side of things, I was saying that we should try to avoid Magneto in the movies for a while, but
Yeah,
at the same time, Fassbender as Magneto, who I would hope to see come back in the role, would he would be a missed opportunity to not have in all your movies. He's one of the big ticket items on that fucking match card. Uh,
absolutely.
so if that's the case, and we're getting Magneto forced on us, I like you said, I would love to see a good Brotherhood. I wrote a lineup out that I think would be nice, and the more I think about it, it's very close to what the first movie did. They just did
Yeah,
not do a lot of that well. But I put
lay it on.
or I had Magneto, Mystique, Sabretooth, Blob, Avalanche, Toad, and then the one that I think would be the coolest if they actually make Evan Peters Quicksilver, a villainous Quicksilver to start off, and have him run alongside the Brotherhood.
Whoa. Huh.
And yeah, I would love that.
Yeah,
Like we talked about on previous episodes, Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth, I would love to see come back. Like he doesn't have to play himself from that universe, just play the character from this universe. He
right.
he did fantastic. He was cynical and humorous, but also murderous and so intense all the time. Like you felt uneasy around him. Uh,
Absolutely.
I would love to see that. Blob, I honestly also like Blob from that movie as well. Uh,
Yeah,
the CGI on his fatness was bad, but the rest of it was pretty fun. I enjoyed the
yeah,
character and how he acted and talked and stuff. Uh,
yeah,
but other than that, I think I think Marvel hand or doing this now is just gonna be so much more comic accurate, or if not comic accurate, closer to like the '90s cartoons and X-Men Evolution and the stuff that like our generation grew up on. Because pretty
yeah,
much at this point, Marvel movies are almost as much of a nostalgia push as they are for kids and to sell toys and stuff. Like it's to buy adults
yeah,
back into fucking movies and the comic world. So
yeah.
I don't know what to expect from the Brotherhood, but if we don't get the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, I would love to see Sentinels done well. I would like to see Boulevard Trask back. I would take Peter Dinklage back. He's a fantastic actor. Uh,
Yeah.
but I would like to see the Sentinels done right. It would be cool to maybe introduce Morph into a story alongside them, since a lot of us know him from the Sentinel storyline. But also at the
Yeah.
same time, I would like to see Mr. Sinister, which also has ties to the Morph character, which I think that honestly would just be a great character. One, to be a counterbalance to Mystique power wise, and two, he's a character that a lot of people know and enjoy from the 90s cartoon mostly. And
Yeah.
he wasn't nearly as enjoyable in the comics as he is in the show. And like you feel bad for him, and he's a very compelling character. So
Yeah.
I think that would be a great storyline to run off of. Uh, Mr. Sinister also gives us like the Gambit ties. I know also X-Men 97 did a lot of tying Gambit to Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
So that would be a nice introduction for him. But I guess my main point for this segment is to talk about the team lineup for the movie. Uh, and for my choice for the team, I actually went with the original X-Men lineup. It'd be Professor Xavier leading them naturally. Then it's Cyclops, Jean Grey, who goes by Marvel Girl back in the day. I would like her to actually pick up that alias. Beast, pre-transformation, uh, Iceman, and finally we need an angel in the front lines. We have not gotten a good angel. We have not gotten a main team member Angel, and he's a founding member of the X-Men.
Yeah. Closest thing we got to it. Actually, they did Angel twice, right? They did Angel in Days of Future Past,
And
or
they
not
did
Days.
him in Apocalypse and X-Men 3. And Apocalypse, he ended up Archangel right away and was like a weird mutant cage fighter and stuff. And X-Men 3, they did his story right. It just felt really out of place for the movie.
Yeah. Could have been in something else. Could have been its own deal for real.
That's a
Could you
fact.
imagine that? Disney
That'd be
Plus show?
awesome. That'd be so amazing. And as for that team lineup, also for Iceman, I would love if he was like slushy, soft, or snow. When the X-Men first formed in the comics, Iceman was actually like a snowman who wore boots. He wasn't made of solid ice like he is uh, in the books and the later or in the movies as well. But I would love to see that like slushy, imperfected Iceman form, and then like later in the movie he gets control of it and becomes the cool, sleek Iceman we know and love.
Could kind of be like a thing, like the Thing from the Fantastic Four could kind of be one of those arcs trying to live with the physical imperfections that come along with your great power.
Or what I thought of for that, Cyborg from Justice League, the movie.
That too. That
Like,
too.
especially because in the original, in like the Whedon cut, he was fucked up the whole movie. Look, like he was so shoddy looking, he didn't have any of his plating and stuff. And then at the end, he transforms into his final Cyborg from the comics look.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that. And then I feel like you can't just ride off of those characters for a movie. I think it would be a good idea because there's only 6 of them, including Xavier. So it would give focus to each character more. But
Yeah.
we also got to think the most popular era of X-Men is the Chris Claremont era, which is what the 90s cartoon is based off of.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Uh, but so at that point, I always say Storm is she's a mandatory member of the X-Men. She is as important as any of the founding members of the team. Uh, I'm just hoping for an accurate portrayal. I always felt Angela Bassett should have done that when she was younger instead of Halle Berry. Uh,
Yeah.
and I texted you earlier this morning when I was watching X-Men Evolution. Fucking Spike even calls her auntie.
What's crazy is, she was like that whole Tom Cruise edition of the Avengers that was supposed to happen. She was actually, from what I was being told, they were recording a James Cameron X-Men movie around that
I
same time.
I heard about that.
And she was supposed to be Storm in James Cameron's X-Men.
Yeah, that would be. I would love that. Now she's the Queen of Wakanda, which is funny because Storm ends up the Queen of Wakanda at one point. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so she's a little too old now, but I think she could still play the role depending on if they make it a older or younger X-Men team. I would take a
Yeah.
teenage main cast, the 5, and then have Storm as like a side to like a vice principal to the professor, like she was in a lot of the shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, Other than that, Nightcrawler, always a great time. Chris Claremont brought him into the fucking limelight as an X-Men member. Him
Yeah.
and Colossus alongside of him. I love Colossus. Always have. I would take the Colossus in every way from the Deadpool movies. The voice actor, the body model, everything. It was great. Uh,
Yeah.
and as much as I think we should stay away from a Wolverine introduction in the first movie, at least, I think it'd be
Yeah.
cool to have like a mini side or subplot in the movie that is Wolverine going on some journey and Sabretooth hunting him. And
No
then,
alkali.
wait, what's up?
No Alkali Lake. I'm good on Alkali Lake for a while.
But they could do the Alpha Flight and they could do stuff in Canada.
True.
And that would be really cool. I've always thought the Alpha Flight characters were nice. And I think it'd be cool if they almost introduced Wolverine in his own movie compared to an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
But
What would they?
but yeah. So as for team lineups, I definitely would like to see the originals plus a few of like the Claremont '90s show era ones. Villains. If we're gonna go Magneto, I'd like to see a good comic book lineup of the Brotherhood. Uh, Also, a character I forgot that's always a low key great time. He was great in the old movies. Pyro. I would love to see another portrayal of Pyro. Personally, I enjoy the one from the original trilogy, so it would be hard to live up to that character.
Yeah.
But I would love to see like an Australian comic book with the suit and the flamethrower gauntlets and shit. I would love that. Uh,
That would.
Other than that, if not Magneto, we're gonna need someone big, like the Sentinel, Scourge, or Mr. Sinister.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly agreed. Wholeheartedly agreed, Mike.
So at that point, I think we covered a lot of facets of the potential X-Men future. And do you have any closing thoughts?
In closing, I think that this X-Men that we are approaching could be the quintessential X-Men, like the X-Men that, again, 90s cartoon fans love, early 2000 cartoons fans love, and just fans of the X-Men genre, whether it be the comic books, the video games, the trading cards, the movies, et cetera, et cetera. I think this will be a culmination of everything X-Men in one. And again, this is what we discussed on last night's episode. I feel like Marvel is in that mode, like how you say, like it's also like a fan service thing for nostalgia now. I think they're in that mode, brother, of celebration, and they're going to be celebrating everything that is Marvel then, now, and future. And I think this is going to be that, and I just can't wait.
Definitely. Couldn't have said it better myself. But I guess with us talking the future of Marvel, the multiverse cracking open and everything, we now have Netflix Marvel characters in the MCU. Not just fucking Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, or Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio. We've also, in Far From Home, the announcer that makes the news report about Mysterio being dead. That's the guy from the Netflix Marvel shows, the newscaster. So we have. It doesn't seem as though they are variants. It seems they've always been here, and the MCU is just now starting to acknowledge that. But I feel like we might be a while off before we get like these characters from Netflix in their own solo series. But I'm 100% willing to bet that in upcoming movies and Disney Plus shows, we're going to be seeing these characters sprinkled in more and more. We've got rumors of John Bernthal Punisher for Moon Knight. We've got rumors of him for Doctor Strange. We have a lot of rumors of Daredevil. Spider-Man sequels, I would love to see him in Spider-Man 4. Echo, there's a lot of talk of him being an Echo. She's still going to be tied to Kingpin. He's not dead. They have more story to flesh out.
No.
And bringing Daredevil in would be a like good replacement for the Hawkeye dynamic that they had in that show. And in the comics, they do end up banging a couple times. They were together for a while. And I think that would be a good way to give her character more depth, because all the depth she had was with her dad, who was killed in a backstory after one flashback, and Kazi, who they didn't even explore her backstory. So I think it would be really cool if you give her like a romantic interest that actually matters. And Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock would be such a good grab to immediately grab the audience's attention and be like, huh, if this guy that I've been following for years in these shows and I love so much is down with this bitch, alright, I'm gonna fucking enjoy this character for a while. And it's never going to be like a normal response. It's always going to be we love it or we fucking hate it.
Very
I
true.
guess we'll find out if she's an MJ or a Mary Jane. Because Kirsten Dunst is fucking reviled throughout the fandom. But,
which brings me to a future episode. I saw some interesting graphics that showed Spider-Gwen, played by Emma Stone, and a Spider-Woman, but it was Kirsten Dunst in the PS4 costume.
Huh. That's weird as hell, and I know they've done that a few times in the comics where Mary Jane gets different powers, but at one point she was named Shamrock and she had a luck-based power. It was pretty weird. So yeah, I'm definitely down to cover that. I'm sure we'll be covering so much more Spider talk in the near future. But other than Echo, most of the talk we've heard of Matt Murdock's next appearance is for She-Hulk. I could see that being more Matt Murdock appearances than Daredevil, honestly. But if they involve his character heavily as the lawyer in the story, that's perfect. They can just sprinkle little hints in there that he's Daredevil and that he's going to reveal himself, and then he can show up later in the series, pretty much unannounced and unexplained, and it would be okay.
Pretty
Uh,
fucking much, man.
Other than that, in Echo, I think we'll see. I think that's where we'll next see Kate Bishop. Uh, I think it would be a good place for Elektra to return, and I'm hoping that it would be the same Elektra from Netflix. I enjoyed her character a lot. She was intimidating like Elektra is, but still like attractive and whatnot.
Mhm.
Yeah. So overall, I think the future is definitely bright for these Netflix characters. They're starting to trickle into the MCU slowly but surely. Uh, and based on the future titles, it seems like there's a lot that we could be seeing in the future. They have a lot of ties to the Kingpin, Echo, the Avengers, even half of them, the X-Men, uh, even the tone of the new Spider-Man trilogy. Based on what we're hearing so far and what we saw at the end of No Way Home, this is the time for a Daredevil Spider-Man team up. We've wanted it for years in the movies. They've given us countless times in the comics, many a times in different cartoons. It's
Yep.
time to see a live action team up, and Tom Holland and Charlie Cox together is the most perfect live action duo as their characters I can think of.
It's money, bro. And like even the couple seconds on screen they shared in No Way Home was, if that's any indication, we're in for a great ride when it comes to those two. I think personally, Daredevil could be the character to ground Spider-Man again.
I would
Could
love to
be.
see that because he is like alien invader mode, fucking ready to take on the biggest bad. And Daredevil's like, bro, you couldn't even beat this guy who had a pair of sunglasses, i.e. Mysterio. Like fucking like it would be awesome. And Charlie Cox's portrayal of Daredevil, his character throughout the show has been nothing but a reality check for others and himself. So
Yeah.
it would only make sense if they continue that character trope. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I am so excited for the future of the MCU in this regard, in regards to the X-Men. Uh, I'm really hoping for a little bit of a change up with the team. I'm hoping for a new enemy, and I I have no clue who would be writing this movie. We have no announcement or no speculation even yet, but
Yep.
whoever it is, they have some big shoes to fill. In one regards to the MCU, and two, the Fox movies. Uh,
Yeah.
Despite all the problems they might have, those movies are a staple of our childhood, of our young adult years. Those characters grew alongside us, and it's going to be hard to replace some of them. And I'm trying myself to prepare for that.
Well, I think with change comes bad feelings, but because that's how I felt at the end of the last phase. Like I was one of those people that was thinking, like, yeah, the MCU's done. Like, what are they
Yeah.
going to do? And really, this has just been an adjustment period for me of change and learning about all these new characters and stuff. I'm excited. I think, like you said, Daredevil could be a great way to like advance things, and I want to see a retell. I don't know about a retelling because they haven't really said that those shows don't count, but the whole like Daredevil Elektra way it played out on Netflix was just great. I love that storyline. I don't think I have one complaint about that show. I got to be honest, I don't have one.
That's a fact. I agree with that completely. Couldn't have said it better. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess that brings us to the end of our talk on the future of Marvel and Punisher in the MCU. I'm sure we'll be back with more information as we come on that. But other than that, the Moon Knight episode is about to be uploaded. This episode will be uploaded probably before that, honestly. Uh, but other than that, you can follow me on social media at Roach the Boy Wonder. And yeah, that's a wrap.
This has been Pages, Pictures, and Panels. I am your host, Tony Eden, with your other host, Roach Boy Red.
And remember, We love what we do, and what we do ain't pretty. See ya.